bridge course on biology. 3 chapters were left over. We'll be having class on 3 chapters. Okay. Now you will be having the bridge course on biology and you'll be watching the video classes. Okay, Grishma has entered the session. Welcome, Grishma. Okay, we'll be having biology session today. Okay. Try to watch. And Muskan has entered. Welcome, Muskan. Okay, today you'll be having biology session and we'll have 3 chapters. Try to watch completely and note down important points.
Chapter 13. Why we fall ill. The word microorganism comes from the Greek word micros, meaning small, and organism, meaning individual living thing. All the minute organisms cannot be seen through the naked eyes. They can only be seen through a compound microscope. They are both useful as well as harmful to us. Microorganisms are of various sizes and shapes. Contributions of scientists. Edward Jenner. In 1796, he collected serum from a cowpox affected girl and injected it to an 8-year-old boy. The boy developed cowpox, but it was cured. But later, he never suffered from the cowpox. Then, Jenner announced that the smallpox could be prevented by vaccination. Joseph Lister. He was inspired by Louis Pasteur's discoveries, which showed that fermentation and decomposition are caused by bacteria. He used antiseptics during the operations and was very successful in getting good results. On his name, Lister Institute of Preventive Medicine has been established in London. Alexander Fleming. He observed that a fungus had grown in the glass plate which was kept to culture the bacteria. When observed under microscope, Fleming noticed that the bacteria had not grown near the fungus. He confirmed that the fungus had the capacity to kill bacteria. He named it as Penicillin notatum. General characteristics. Microorganisms are those living things which are not visible to our eyes because of their extremely minute size. Microorganisms are present all around us. They are present in and on the bodies of plants and animals. Organisms are called omnipresent. They are generally unicellular. They are complete and independent living beings. The micrometer and nanometer are the units to specify the dimensions of microorganisms. For instance, the typhoid bacterium is rod-shaped with a length of 1 to 3 micrometers, while the polio virus is round and has a diameter of 28 nanometers. Compound microscope is the instrument used to observe microorganisms. Based on their characters and extent of infection, they are classified into 5 types: viruses, bacteria, algae, fungi, and protozoa. Let us now study in detail about each one of them. Viruses. These are the smallest entities. They can be visualized through electron microscope. The size of viruses varies from 0.015 to 0.2 microns. They lack cellular organization. They are made up of DNA or RNA as the nucleic acid, surrounded at the center by a protein coat. They exhibit both living and non-living characteristics. Examples of viruses are AIDS virus, influenza virus, etc. Bacteria. These are unicellular organisms. Bacteria are much smaller than algae or fungi. The size varies from 0.2 to 1 micron. The bacterial cell is made up of proteins and carbohydrates. Bacteria move by the help of flagella. Bacteria are of various types based on the shape. Cocci, example, Diplococcus, pneumonia bacilli, example, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Spirillex treponema, Pallidum, Vibrios, example, Vibrio cholera. Algae. Some are unicellular, they are seen through microscope only. Some are multicellular, floating on water. Size varies from 1 micron to a few meters in length. They contain chlorophyll, so they can carry on photosynthesis. Based on the pigments, algae are of different types. Green algae, yellow-green algae, brown algae, red algae. Examples of algae are Spirogyra, volvox. Fungi. They are multicellular. They are achlorophyllous, grow on dead and decaying organic matter. Heterotrophs. They may be parasites or saprophytes. They are spore producing. The spores are scattered in air and grow into fungus when they fall on suitable substratum. Example, yeast, bread mold, mushrooms. Protozoans. Protozoans are present in stagnant water and soil. They may be free-living or parasites. They are motile. The motility is due to presence of pseudopodia, cilia, or flagella. The size of protozoans varies from 2 to 200 microns. Examples of protozoans are amoeba, euglena, trypanosoma. Harmful effects of microorganisms. Microbes are responsible for causing many diseases. Such microorganisms which are harmful or causing diseases are known as pathogens or germs. Bacterial diseases are those which are caused due to infection of bacteria. Example, tetanus, tuberculosis, typhoid, cholera. Tetanus. The causal organism is Clostridium tetani. These bacteria are present in the intestine of herbivorous animals. Tetanus is spread through rusted steel or soil. The spores of these bacteria enter the body through cut wounds. Symptoms: headache, fever, and muscle spasm. The affected person feels difficult to open the mouth and body becomes rigid. Cure. It can be cured by taking anti-tetanus serum injection. Tuberculosis. The causal organism is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. These bacteria are present in soil and freely moving in air. It enters the lungs through air. In the lungs, the bacilli grow and produce tubercles. Symptoms: excessive fatigue, lack of appetite, night sweating, and loss of weight. Cure: antibiotics like rifampicin, streptomycin. Shrunken and stretched skin. Cure: it can be treated by the use of antibiotics, cholera vaccine, avoiding eating spoiled food. Typhoid. The causal organism is Salmonella typhi. They enter the inner wall of intestine and produce cysts. These cysts are shed in patients' fecus. Symptoms: headache, fever, constipation, step-ladder fever, rose spots are seen on the skin, and ultimately loss of body weight. Cure: it can be cured by taking some antibiotics such as cefoperazole, ceftriaxone. Putting a wet cloth on forehead can reduce fever, liquid diet, and complete rest. Leprosy. The causal organism is Mycobacterium leprae. There are two types of leprosy: lepromatous. In lepromatous type, white-red colored patches are seen on the skin. Then, tumors of different shape appear on the face. 2. Tuberculoid. Bacteria affect the nerves and cause the loss of sensation on the skin. Gradually, the finger and toes get deformed and lost. Plague. The causal organism is Yersinia pestis. It normally affects the rodents. Flies, after biting the deceased rat, carry these microbes. When they bite the healthy person, the spread of plague takes place. Symptoms: the lymph nodes in the armpits and the neck enlarge. Later, it may result in pneumonia. Cure: population of rats should be, and the place should be destroyed to control and prevent the disease. Anthrax. The causal organism is Bacillus anthracis. It normally affects the split-hoofed animals like cattle, goat, and pig. Symptoms: the eye of the infected animal turns deep red and tears flow out from the eyes. The animal becomes inactive and suffers from fever. The abdomen distends from constipation. It spreads to other animals when it comes in contact with a dead animal. Viral diseases. Viral diseases are those which are caused due to infection by viruses. Rabies. The causal organism is Rhabdoviridae. These viruses enter the body by rabies dog bite. Then they reach the brain through spinal cord. Symptoms: laziness, fever, uneasiness, headache, mental confusion, spasm of throat muscles, continuous salivation, and hydrophobia. Cure: when a dog bites, the wound should be washed with antiseptic lotion. Injection should be given to the victim. Doctors should be consulted for anti-rabies vaccine. Stray dogs should be controlled. Polio. It is caused by poliovirus. Houseflies and mosquitoes are the carriers of the disease. The viruses enter the body through the mucous membrane of the mouth and into the esophagus and the intestine. They enter through the blood to the spinal cord. Symptoms: the muscles become very weak and they get paralyzed. Cure: polio vaccine should be given to children. Mumps. The causal organism is mumps virus. The salivary glands are affected. It spreads through the saliva and through air. Symptoms: parotid salivary gland gets swollen. Due to this, pain is felt near the ear. Fever and headache. It is also known as Gautalama, Gaddababu and Kepat. Cure: children should be vaccinated and they should be kept away from affected children. Chickenpox. The causal organism is varicella virus. It affects the children of 2 to 6 years of age. Once suffered from this disease, the person gets immunity for the whole life. The virus enters the throat and respiratory tract. Symptoms: reddish spots are seen on the chest and the back, then they appear on other parts. Vesicles are formed which later turn into pustules. After 3 to 4 days, scabs are formed and fall off. This is followed by fever, body pain, headache. Cure: chickenpox vaccine is administered to control the disease, but there is no specific treatment. Fungal disease. Fungal diseases are those which are caused due to infection by fungi. In human beings, fungi cause diseases like ringworm, candidiasis. They may affect muscles near eyes, ears, nose. Fungal infections are generally termed as mycosis. Blast disease. It is caused in ragi or paddy crops. Symptoms: yellow, white, grey spots appear on leaves and stems. The affected parts become dry and finally appear as if burnt. Cure: using fungicides and chemicals in liquid form helps to control the disease. Sheep blight. This is caused by fungi that affect the crop. Symptoms: green colored spots are seen on the leaves. The leaf sheath gets decayed. The grain becomes hollow, causing heavy loss due to the poor yield. Ring spot disease. This is caused by the fungi that affects the sugarcane crop. Cure: using fungicides and chemical in liquid form helps to control the disease. Protozoan diseases. Protozoan diseases are those which are caused due to the infection of protozoans. Malaria. Causal organism is Plasmodium vivax. It spreads through female Anopheles mosquito. Plasmodium enters the human body through mosquito bite. Symptoms: fever with severe chill, acute headache, nausea and sweating. Cure: by administering the antibiotic called quinine. It can be controlled by controlling the mosquitoes, by avoiding the stagnation of water. Mosquito curtains should be used. Applications of microorganisms in medicine. Many microbes are used in the manufacture of antibiotics. Some of the antibiotics are penicillin from the organism penicillin notatum, streptomycin from the organism Streptomyces gracis, chloromycetin from the organism Streptomyces venezuelae, bacitracin from the organism Bacillus licheniformis, terramycin from the organism Streptomyces rhomosus. Many vaccines are prepared from microbes. Insulin is prepared by bacteria which are in a very great demand. Many viruses are the target for oncogens. Many of the algae are used in preparing cosmetics. Diatoms are used in toothpaste and paint. Food. Many microorganisms are used in food processing. Lactobacillus is used in curdling of milk. Spirulina, an algae, is used as food. Many algae serve as food for aquatic animals. In fermentation industry, many microorganisms are used in beer and wine preparations. They are used for making bread, idli, dosa, jelly and ice creams. They are used in removal of waste, in purification of waste. In nitrogen fixation, microorganism plays a very important role in nitrogen fixation. Rhizobium, which is present in roots of leguminous plants, absorb nitrogen from the atmosphere and convert it into nitrates, which are useful to the plant. Soil fertility. Denitrifying bacteria present in the soil by the action of decomposition release nitrogen from the dead and decaying plants and animals to the atmosphere. By this, the bacteria acts as natural scavengers. Free-living bacteria in the soil can also fix the atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into nitrogen, thus resulting in soil fertility.
Okay, this completes the chapter. In this chapter, we come to know that microorganisms are most responsible to fall ill, and they are the main reason why do we get more diseases. Meanwhile, we come to know what are the different applications of the microorganisms. Now we will move on to the next chapter. Natural resources.
Chapter 14 Natural Resources. Natural resources. We are already aware of a large number of natural resources, both renewable and non-renewable resources. They are also called inexhaustible and exhaustible resources, respectively. Based on their availability and usage, a nation's natural resources often determine its wealth and status in the world economic system. Let us learn more about natural resources and their conservation. Conservation of nature. A resource is any natural or artificial substance, energy, or organism which is used by human beings for their welfare. All that the nature has provided, such as soil, air, water, minerals, coal, sunlight, animals, and plants, etc., are known as natural resources. Nature provides us all our basic needs, but we tend to over-exploit it. If we go on exploiting the nature, there will be no more resources available in future. Conservation is the proper management of natural resources to prevent their exploitation, destruction, or degradation. There is an urgent need to conserve nature. Some of the needs are to maintain ecological balance for supporting life, to preserve different kinds of species, to make the resources available for present and future generations, to ensure the survival of biodiversity. Conservation of water. Water is the most important natural resource. It is essential for survival of all living organisms. It regulates climate, generates electricity, and is also useful in agriculture and industries. 22nd March is celebrated as the World Water Day. Conservation and management of water are essential for the survival of mankind, plants, and animals. Growing vegetation in the catchment areas which will hold water in the soil and allow it to percolate into deeper layers and contribute to the formation of groundwater. Constructing dams and reservoirs to regulate supply of water to the fields as well as to enable generation of hydroelectricity. Sewage should be treated and only the clean water should be released into the rivers. Industrial waste should be treated to prevent chemical and thermal pollution of fresh water. Judicious use of water in our day-to-day life. All of us waste water knowingly or unknowingly while brushing teeth, bathing, washing, and doing many other activities. Rainwater harvesting should be done by storing rainwater and recharging the groundwater. Rainwater can be used to recharge the groundwater. Conservation of soil. Importance. Just as water is precious, soil is also important for the plants to grow. Soil is the uppermost layer of the earth's crust, which supports growth of plants. It is a complex mixture of mineral particles, humus, mineral salts, water, air, and living organisms. Conservation methods. Soil loses its fertility due to erosion, so we need to conserve the soil. Soil conservation means checking soil erosion and improving soil fertility by adopting various methods. These are as follows. Maintenance of soil fertility. The fertility can be maintained by adding biomanure and fertilizers regularly, as well as by rotation of crops. Reforestation. Planting of trees and vegetation reduces soil erosion by both water and wind. Grazing. Flat fields with bunds are made on slopes by constructing steps in order to prevent soil erosion. Counter flowing. Flowing a transverse direction to the slope allows the furrows to trap water and check soil erosion by rainwater. Counter flowing or counter farming is farming practice of flowing across a slope following its elevation contour line. The rows formed slows down water runoff during rainstorms and allows the water enough time to settle into the soil. Conservation of forests. Importance. Forests are important natural resources of every state. They have a moderating influence against flood and thus protect the soil against erosion. Forests also influence climate and rainfall. They provide raw materials to a number of industries. They prevent landslides, reduce flood havoc, and provide protection to wildlife. Conservation methods of forests. The Forest Conservation Act 1980 was enacted to help conserve the country's forests. Restricting unnecessary cutting of trees, afforestation, reforestation, and community forestry, controlling forest disasters, educating public about alternate sources of furniture, and minimizing of forest products, recycling of forest products, adopting modern management practices such as social forestry, agricultural forestry, etc. The government has made plans to grow more trees. One Mahotsava is celebrated every year to plant more trees. Chipko movement and Narmada Bachao Andolan are some of the movements to save forests and wildlife in India. Chipko movement was started by Sundar Lal Bahuguna in Tehri district of Uttar Pradesh. Mera Patkar started a movement named Narmada Bachao Andolan to save the forests and wildlife in the Narmada region. Salu Marada Timaka has planted many trees between Kadu and Kurikal in Ramnagara district in Karnataka.
Biogeochemical cycles. The movement of chemicals like carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, calcium, etc. from the earth to the living system and back is called biogeochemical cycles. Components or poles of biogeochemical cycle. Reservoir pool. It is a pool which includes storing of non-living components in the atmosphere, hydrosphere and lithosphere, that is, the Earth's crust. Exchange pool. It is a pool which includes living organisms like bacteria, fungi, plants and animals. Fixation. The entry of a chemical substance from the reservoir pool to the exchange pool is called fixation. Cycling. The return of the chemical substance from the exchange pool to the reservoir pool is called cycling. What are gaseous cycles and its examples? Gaseous cycles. In this, the reservoir pool is often the atmosphere or the hydrosphere. They are described as perfect cycles. Examples are carbon cycles and nitrogen cycles. Carbon cycle. Carbon is the important element for the life. Atmospheric carbon dioxide is the source of carbon for the photosynthesis in plants. The carbonates and bicarbonates dissolved in water is also the source of carbon. The main steps involved in carbon cycles are the photosynthesis in green plants is the main step for carbon dioxide fixation from the atmosphere. This leads to the formation of starch. The green plants are eaten by herbivores and carnivores. Thus, carbon is shifted from plants to the animals in the successive trophic levels. Carbon dioxide is released to the atmosphere by the respiration of plants and animals and also by the death and decay of plants and animals. Carbon is released to the atmosphere due to burning of fossil fuels like charcoal, petroleum, etc. Volcanic eruptions also release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen occurs abundantly in atmosphere in gaseous state. Nitrogen in gaseous state is converted into compounds of nitrogen called nitrogen fixation. Types of nitrogen fixation: natural fixation, artificial fixation. Natural fixation. It occurs by the following process: biological fixation. Soil bacteria like rhizobium enter the root nodules of leguminous plants and directly absorb atmospheric nitrogen and stores in the roots. Electrochemical fixation. It is a non-biological but natural process. During lightning in the sky, nitrogen combines with oxygen to form nitrogen oxide. These oxides dissolve to become nitric acid, which condenses down to the earth with rainwater. In soil, it is converted into nitrates, which are absorbed by plants. Artificial fixation. It involves the combining of atmospheric nitrogen with gaseous hydrogen to form ammonia. This ammonia is oxidized into nitrates and nitrites in the soil and can be absorbed by plants. The recycling of nitrogen involves ammonification, nitrification, denitrification, ammonification, conversion of organic compounds and nitrogenous waste into ammonium salt by the action of ammonifying bacteria is called ammonification. Nitrification. Conversion of ammonium salts into nitrates and nitrite by nitrifying bacteria. Example, Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter is called nitrification. Denitrification. Conversion of nitrates in the soil into free gaseous nitrogen by denitrifying bacteria such as Pseudomonas is called denitrification. Oxygen cycle. Oxygen is essential for cellular respiration in all organisms to release energy. The atmosphere contains about 20% of oxygen. Main steps in oxygen cycle are removal of oxygen from atmosphere by respiration of living organisms, decomposition of dead plants and animals, combustion of fossil fuels like coal and petroleum, addition of oxygen to the atmosphere by photosynthesis in green plants.
Okay, this completes the natural resources. Mainly we have gone through the biogeochemical cycles where we come to know different role of microorganisms, and this I already had another video in YouTube link, and I'll be sending that very clear information about biogeochemical cycle and also the pollutions and that I'll be sending later, and we'll go for the last chapter, improvement in food resources. This will be the last chapter. This completes the 9th syllabus, physics, chemistry and biology. If you have any doubt, you can send me which chapter should be repeated.
Chapter 15, Improvement in Food Resources.
Food is an important basic source of energy for all living beings. Man is making lot of efforts to produce, manage the food and preserve the same for future. This is possible only by agriculture. Agriculture is a branch of science dealing with the cultivation in field. It includes cultivation of crops, horticulture, animal husbandry, breeding and rearing of domesticated animals, sericulture, etc. The good crops are obtained through agriculture by several activities known as agricultural practices. Various activities of agricultural practices include soil management, sowing, transplantation, application of manures and fertilizers, irrigation, weed control, crop improvement techniques, crop harvesting and protection. Soil management. Soil is a superficial cover of the earth and is one of the important natural resources. It is a natural medium for the growth of plants. Soil is a mixture of water, air, humus or organic matter, minerals, inorganic matter and microbes. There are three major types of soil, namely sandy or coarse soil, loamy or medium soil, and clay or fine soil. The various chemical, physical, and biological activities take place in the soil which help the growth of plants. There will be maximum crop production when all the components of the soil are available to the plants. Land preparation or preparation of soil. The first step in the agricultural practice is the preparation of land or soil. The soil in its top layer contains most of the nutrients and also microorganisms. This top layer of soil is called feeding zone of plants. Soil is prepared in two stages, namely plowing and leveling. Plowing. Plowing is the process of turning and loosening of the soil. Plow is made up of wood with an iron tip which penetrates into the soil. Plowing is usually done by a pair of bullocks. Machine plows are also used in modern days. Tractors are usually employed to plow the land. Plowing has advantages because of the following reasons. Soil becomes loose, which allows the roots of the plant to penetrate deep. Soil becomes aerated, thus the roots can breathe. Weeds are removed. Harmful insects will come to the surface and are picked up by birds. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria grow well in the loosened soil. Leveling. Leveling is done with the help of levelers. After plowing, leveling is advantageous for the following reasons. Leveling prevents soil erosion by draining water. Leveling helps to break the larger chunks of soil into smaller pieces. Uniform distribution of water takes place and soil fertility is maintained. Loss of moisture in the field will be reduced. Seed selection and sowing. Seed selection is very important. Clean, healthy and disease-free seeds are selected. Seeds are treated with fungicides before sowing. Seeds are sown in the soil when proper moisture is maintained. Soil should not be too dry or too wet. Sowing is usually done either manually or with seed drill. Manual sowing will result in improper spacing between the seeds as the seeds are scattered manually. Sowing of seeds with seed drills is advantageous because the seeds are spaced properly in the field at proper depth. Seed drill is a funnel-like instrument made of either wood or iron with a long tube. Seed drills are usually tied to the back of the plow. Nursery of seedlings. Seedlings are obtained by sowing the seeds in nursery before transferring them to the main field. In the nursery, soil is made fertile with suitable manures and weeds are eradicated. The seedlings are the tiny plants grown in nursery. These are transferred to the agricultural field. The process of growing and transferring the seedling from nursery to main field is known as transplantation. There are several advantages of transplantation. They are healthy and better seedlings can be selected and unhealthy seedlings can be rejected. Better spacing provides uniform supply of nutrients to all seedlings. Root and shoot systems are well developed. It gives better yield. Application of manures and fertilizers. Manure is an organic substance obtained from the decomposition of plant and animal waste by the action of microbes. They contain various nutrients. Manure improves physical, chemical and biological properties of soil. Traditionally, Indian farmers use animal dung as natural manure. Another natural manure is compost, which is prepared from agricultural waste and city garbage. These wastes are dumped in pits and allowed to decompose and mineralize, after which they are used as natural manure. Natural manure are also called organic manure. Cultivation of crops using only organic manure is called organic farming. This type of farming do not give pollutants. Manures may not be able to supply all the nutrients in adequate quantities. To overcome this, chemical fertilizers are used. Chemical fertilizers are a man-made mixture of chemical compounds which is rich and essential. Plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Most commonly used NPK fertilizers are nitrogenous fertilizers like urea, ammonium nitrate, sodium nitrate. Phosphatic fertilizers like superphosphate, diammonium phosphate. Potassium fertilizers like potassium sulfate, potassium nitrate. Chemical fertilizers are judiciously used at right time in right quantity. Continuous and excessive use of chemical fertilizers deteriorates the nature of soil and also causes water pollution, when water flows into lakes and rivers. Many living organisms such as azolla, nostoc, annabina, that is blue-green algae, rhizobium bacterium, can enrich the soil and act as fertilizers. These are called biofertilizers. Soil testing. Optimal soil pH is very essential for plant growth. Hence, soil is tested. Soil with pH between 6.5 to 7.5 is close to neutral pH. Below this range is acidic and above this is alkaline. Irrigation. Water is essential for the growth of plants. Rainfall is the cheap and natural supply of water. This does not occur throughout the year. Hence, they are stored in ponds, tanks, wells and reservoirs and supplied to the crops. The method of supply of stored water for cultivation of crops is called irrigation. There are 4 methods of irrigation. Check basin method. For crops like maize, wheat, jowar, pulses, oil, seeds, paddy, this method is used. Ridges and furrows method is used for cultivation of crops like cotton, sugarcane, potato, chili and sunflower. Sprinkler system is used for crops like coffee and fodder crops. Drip irrigation is used for orchards cultivating mango, guava, citrus fruits, coconut and banana. Advantages of irrigation. Irrigation provides sufficient water and moisture to the germinating seeds or growing seedlings. They help in absorption of nutrients from the soil. They help to increase in the number of aerial branches, thus help in better yield of the crops. Disadvantages of excessive irrigation. Due to excessive irrigation, water logs and due to this the roots are poorly developed and thus healthy growth of the crops is not possible. Also, due to the accumulation of water, seeds will not get sufficient oxygen for respiration, thus the germinating seeds are affected. The fertility of soil is also affected due to waterlogging for longer period. Crop plants. India is mainly a land of agriculture. About 75% of a country's land is used for agriculture for the cultivation of paddy, wheat, ragi, jowar, pulses and oil seeds which form the basic food. Crop protection. Food crops need to be protected from weeds, insects and plant diseases. Weeds. Weeds are unwanted plants growing along with the cultivated crops. They are harmful to the crops as they compete with the crops for space, water, light and nutrients. The most common weeds are grass, amaranthus, eupatorium, parthenium, etc. Removal of weeds is called de-weeding. De-weeding can be achieved by 3 methods: mechanical method, chemical method, biological method. Mechanical method. In this method, weeds are removed by hand with the help of harrow, hook or hoe. Chemical method. In this method, weeds are removed by using certain chemicals called weedicides. Common weedicides are 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid, that is 2,4-D, and 4-chloro-2-methyl-1-phenoxyacetic acid. Biological method. In this method, these are destroyed with the help of other organisms. This method is beneficial as the organisms used to destroy weed destroy only the weed and crops are not destroyed. Example, herbivorous fish like carps destroy the aquatic weeds like hydrilla, lemma, etc. Cochineal insects destroy weeds like opuntia. Mexican beetles feed on parthenium, cassia plants and prevent the growth of parthenium. Cropping methods. Crop rotation and mixed cropping help in controlling of weeds. Growing different crops at different times but on the same piece of land is called crop rotation or rotation of crops. Example, cereals and pulses are grown alternatively on the land. The method of cultivation of 2 or more crops simultaneously on the same land is called mixed cropping or intercropping. Example, growing turmeric and banana in coconut gardens. Plant diseases. Plant diseases reduce the yield of the crop considerably. Plant diseases are caused by microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, viruses and insect pests. A few common plant diseases of cereal crops are smut, ergot, brown rust and blastwork paddy. Plant diseases spread by soil, air, or by infected seeds. The diseases spread by soil are called soil-borne. Example, smut patches on ground. The diseases spread by air are called airborne. Example, wheat rust due to fungus. The diseases spread through seeds are called seed-borne. Example, leaf spot of paddy. Prevention. Soil-borne diseases can be prevented by using soil disinfectants and by crop rotation. Airborne diseases can be controlled by spraying fungicides. Seed-borne diseases can be prevented by sowing healthy seeds and by treating seeds before sowing with chemicals that kill pathogens. Other pests like insects and rodents can be destroyed by suitable chemicals. Pests such as locusts, grasshoppers, bugs, termites, beetles eat the foliage, chew the tender leaves and suck the sap of plant organs. These are controlled by suitable chemical or by biological methods. The common fungicides are agrosan, cerisan, pesticides are DDT, sulfur zinc sulfide, etc. Some of the pesticides and fungicides are toxic to our health and indiscriminate use leads to environmental pollution. Hence, maximum precaution should be taken while using them. Only recommended dosages have to be applied. Improvement of agriculture in India. In India, 70% of the population is engaged in agriculture. This is the basic industry of our country. Lot of encouragement is given to many irrigational projects and allied industries of agriculture. The agro-based industries manufacture agricultural implements, tractors, etc., pesticides, fungicides, weedicides, and chemical fertilizers. Agriculture scientists are trying to produce better varieties of crop plants. They aim at developing disease-resistant plants, drought-tolerant, and high-yielding crop plants. Several recent techniques of culturing plants on nutrients medium by growing plant cells, tissues, or protoplasm called tissue culture is a boon to agriculture. Use of modern agriculture practices also increase the agricultural wealth of our country.
Okay, this completes chapters of physics, biology and chemistry of 9th standard. So you all should get ready for pre-test and post-test, and very soon you will be having question paper. Tomorrow there will be pre-test. Try to go through all the videos which I had uploaded in the YouTube, and soon you will be having pre-test tomorrow. Okay, all the best for your pre-test. Get ready for the test. And if you have any doubts with any chapter, please message me in the WhatsApp, and the same lesson will be displayed again if you all having the doubt. Thank you for your visit and watching, and get ready for the test. Thank you one and all.